Hi friends, it's Jenny. I don't know if you remember, but when I opened my John Bead box this last week, I was really excited that some of these beads would fit on SilverSilk. And so that's what I'm going to do tonight. So if you have not used or seen SilverSilk before, let me get this where you can see it a little bit better. This is a product called SilverSilk Pipe Chain. And what it is it is a silicone tube that has wire knitted over it. This is a copper wire, so it's something that I can use. And this one is silver color. So this is silver color over red, but it kind of reads kind of like that orangey red tone. So I thought that it would be fun to use in a design with this. But I'm really excited that these beads fit over it because I'm going to be doing something that is similar to something I've done recently, which is where I used a section of SilverSilk and I used some little stop beads. I don't have stop beads this time, so these ones are going to be free flowing for a section, and then I strung up the sides. So that is what I'm working on tonight. So the first thing, actually, so this is the SilverSilk. If you haven't seen it before, this constitutes some of the materials that you may not have seen. There will be a link to their website so that you can learn more about the product and see what other offerings there are. This light is being finicky, getting a shadow right in the middle of that. Anyway, that is SilverSilk. And if you've never used it before, one of the best ways to use it is just to incorporate it somewhere in your design in place of another item. In this case, because it is actually still going to, because it's this tube, I can string it directly onto my beading wire. It's going to become like the focal section of my strung design, except instead of having beads for the whole length of it, I'll have beads in the center of it, expose about an inch of the SilverSilk, cap it off, and continue to string the necklace. So that's how this is going to work. So this is not going to have a pendant per se. It's going to have more of a focal area. And I'm thinking, let me get my little tape measure out, because I'm thinking I want it to be about this long of a focal area so that I can have about this much room for beading and still have an inch or so exposed on either end. So that length that I'm about to cut is, I'm gonna go for 7 inches. I might cut that down after I finish making my beaded section, but I'm gonna do about 7 inches of this SilverSilk. And you can just use your regular cutters. I should have left this out so that, you know, I cut what I say I'm gonna cut instead of estimating it and then just cutting it willy-nilly. All right, you can just use your regular cutters for this. It cuts right through that wire and that silicone, just like that. And when you snip it, because it is a knitted product, there will sometimes be little bits that come off, and that's normal. You can just pick them up easily later by running like a bead scoop over it. It just kind of grabs them. So this is the section I'm going to work with. And the beads that I'm going to be using from my John Bead box are some of these orange ones. They're bright orange, and they're kind of a silky texture to them. I'm trying to get some to lay on their side, and it's tricky, but yeah. You get a little bit of a swirl. In fact, some of it is like crystal and orange swirl, so you can see a little bit of that kind of coming through. And I'm going to use these green, kind of more lined swirly guys. This guy's on his side so you can see him a little bit better. And then we've got these, I think these are probably some type of clay, I think. They're very irregular, but they have a nice chunky hole, and I thought they were just a really fun purple. And then if I can incorporate them, I had only 3 of these, but I like them. They're like silver lined purple, And so they kind of glitter through there. I think those are really pretty. So maybe we'll use those as ends, and then I'll just have an extra one left over. I haven't quite decided, and I'm not using all of these beads, obviously, because I only cut a 7-inch section. But I'm going to play around with the configuration of what do I like on here. However, I am going to start before I put all my beads on there, because then I don't have to worry about them falling off. This is how you use the SilverSilk. So I'm going to be using this purple amethyst color medium beading wire for my strung portion of this design. And all you have to do is just take your beading wire and feed it through the silicone, just like this. And then it comes out the other end. And that's how that's going to work. So I have my spool over here. I'm going to be stringing on this side of it. So this is already strung, and then I can just kind of center it and figure out what I'm doing for the strung pattern. It's the strung design on this. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So since I'm thinking about maybe ending the design with one of these guys, I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to get it to about 1 inch away from the end. Because that's how much, because the whole point of using the SilverSilk isn't just to have something to hold everything on it, but also to show it. It can be part of your design. And so that's how I'm using this. I think I like the green next to the purple. And then maybe, so I've got 5 of these. I feel like these are the 2 smallest. And then these guys, and then this is a middle. I don't think I can use all of them, so I'm going to take out, I think, the 2 from the middle and maybe start getting one of these chunky guys on here. I might have needed to get an orange in there first, because I do want the orange and I want them to pop against this SilverSilk. Let's see how I like that. So it's kind of like purple, green, orange. And then we're getting close to the middle, so I think this is, and I might swap these and put the purple orange so that the green are just on surrounding this purple. I want to see how this lines up. I might just restring that a little bit, but is this generally what I want to go for is the question that I need to ask myself. Like, it's kind of chunky and fun, and yes, I am playing with like kind of Halloween colors. I'm going to be adding my spooky bits later on the strung section. That is pretty close to the length that I want. I'm going to try one thing here. Okay, backing this out, and I'm going to swap the orange to be by the green. No, orange to be by the purple. Orange to be by the purple. Stringing this on, and then we put the green, and then the chunky purple. I don't know, it's kind of a funky design. I haven't done this before. And then instead of jumping right to that middle one, let's get a tiny bit more space by adding another orange in on either side of this purple. And then another orange, green, purple. This feels more symmetrical to me. And another orange. And then one of these purples. And guys, that is just about the length that I was going for. It's about 1 inch of exposed SilverSilk on either side. My end caps won't take up very much space, so that's easy. I think I like it. I'm gonna swap this bead. This one has some character on it, which I like, especially since it's going to be the only one that I have left. I'm saving that for something else because these two are more uniform with each other. Okay, so kind of fun, a little bit funky, a touch Halloween with the color combination. But let me get, these are the SilverSilk findings that I have in silver, and we're going to be doing silver with this design. I'm going to grab these little end caps. I'll add the other one on the other side when we get to it. I'm not too worried about it at the moment. So the way that this works is I finished my SilverSilk segment, okay? So then I just string on this little end cap and it scoots down to here. And yes, this is going to be free flow, so they'll move, but they'll stop at that end cap, I hope. Yes, it does not go over the end cap. I checked. And then I'm going to string this portion. So some of the beads that I was going to do, and like I said, this is where we're going to get in a little bit of the spooky. I've got some green and red skulls. I also have pink. The purple skulls I only had one of, and if I'm going to match sides, I probably am not using them. But since the SilverSilk is red, I thought that I could use the red skulls and that would look good. So let me move the pink ones away. And then we're going to get into our accent beads from the John Bead box. This was themed Creep It Real, so it was all Halloween themed to begin with. I'm just checking. I don't think there's any of these that I'm like, oh yes, I got to use that with this design. So let's look at these smaller ones. Because this is so chunky, I want what you see here to be more, more simplified. It's still going to have some fun stuff going on, but it's really, we're just getting a couple of skulls on each side and then some beads just spaced between it. And then we're probably going to end with, either crimping it and leaving the purple wire exposed because, again, the purple, and this has silicone coated wire, so it is soft. It feels nice. And so we might just leave that exposed as well and let the whole thing, no, I do need to at least crimp after the strung portion so that this end cap stays in place. But I can crimp it and have the line continue. I don't have to crimp it and end it. Because I could add chain, but that adds another stringing material. And I'm not sure that I want that for this design. Let's see what I think when I get there. So in this box, I've got some fun oranges. And I think we're going to need to use some of those. I've got some purple fire polish that can be fun to bring a little bit of purple in. But again, this is on purple cord, so I'm not too worried about it. And do I have, oh, and the green is in the same thing. So between the purple, the orange, a little bit of green, I could add in some black, but I'm keeping this very light on purpose because I am doing a lot of dark patterns this week. You know, with our late night beading, it had that beautiful dark blue. I've got several designs that are going to be using black in the next few videos. So I'm purposefully keeping this bright and colorful. So I'll set this aside for now, but let's pour out some of these fun things. So let's get some of these green seed beads. This was in the seed bead mix that had blue and black in it, I believe. Might have even had some purple tones. That was this seed bead mix, but that's still a little bit more mixed in. And that does have more of the blues. I'm not really going that direction on the purpley blues. Blurple, as they say. These are the same, these little rondelles. But do I want them or do I want, this is more of a bright orange. I think I'm going to go with the bright orange to kind of pull out some of these. Oh, I love that together. Look how bright that is together. Okay, and it's a slightly different size, which that makes me happy. And then we've got in this one, we've got these, there's just 5 of them. So if I'm doing even, then I can only do 2 on each side, but I do like those. Let's put those in. I'm not going to use those flowers. Put the rest of these away for the moment. Okay, so I'm going to work on designing one side, and then when I figure out how long I want for the strung portion, then I will snip the other side and finish it the same way. So right now we've got the purple and the green and the orange is our main focal. We've got touches of red here. I think the first skull I want to use so that it's placed near the red and kind of helps tie it in is going to be this one. But before we get to it, I think that we need to start probably with one of, oh yes, start and stop the strung portion, which it's all technically strung because of the type of bead that I'm using. Oh, and okay, something to note. If you look at this bead, one side is darker than the other side. So if you want that symmetrical, and they do look like they're a little bit swirled, but in general, one side is lighter toned than the other. So I'm gonna do like the dark end towards my cap, like this. And then I'm going to work the next size down with the orange. And then let's put on like 3 greens in a row because they're a smaller bead. And I'm wanting to build a little bit of a pattern. And then we'll get another orange bead. And our first skull, chin side down. And then another orange, 3 greens. Another orange, the green skull, chin side down, three of those, another orange, and this I'm planning on having just be a longer necklace. I might even do it like an over the head necklace, but I haven't decided yet. And then I'm going to put the lighter side on first, so it'll kind of bracket. So this is the strung portion. With some spooky skulls, but playing with some of those same color combinations we did earlier. Make sure that cap is seated better. There we go. Yeah, I like that. I like that for the strung portion. So we've got 7 inches of the SilverSilk. And then what I just strung is another, not quite 4 inches. We're looking, no, it's 3.5 inches. So it'll be another 7 inches. So that puts us at a 14-inch necklace. But I do want this with these heavy beads. I don't want them quite at my throat like I normally would. I'd rather have this draped down a bit. Also, I want to be able to see this section that we strung. So I'm thinking if this is a 14-inch necklace right now, and we're going to go for something closer to, I don't know, a 22. This is where I need to make a decision on if I want to put a crimp here so that it holds it, and then just use the beading wire around the back of the neck, or if I want to switch to chain. Hang on just a second while I get my chain out. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with finishing with chain. So I've just got this curb chain right here. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it should be pretty easy for us to use with the this design. So I'm going to get out my silver crimp tubes. I'm going to be using the magical crimper for this, guys, and I'll go ahead and describe it or demonstrate it. It is meant to be used with 0.018 to 0.019 beading wire, and I'm using 0.019 tonight, always. And it only works with 2x2 crimp tubes. The reason that I like to use it is because Beki said it was the best way to crimp. And even though the first crimper I got was defective, it's the only crimper I've ever used. But it's nice because it makes a nice smooth ball of crimp, and you don't have to use a crimp cover unless you want to. Oh, and I am attaching my chain. I'm just going to attach my chain directly to that loop. So I've got my crimp tube on the wire, the chain, do the correct link, Jen. Okay. And then feed it back through the tube. And then just pull that loop to the size that you want it. So we're going to see a little bit of this wire, so maybe it wasn't that important that it be purple, but it will still look good. The bits that you do see will feel like it fits the design. Oh, and my dog is up and moving. She was settled when I started recording, but her dad is out of town, and so she keeps thinking that he's going to come home, and he doesn't, and she doesn't know what to do about that. All right. So the way that you use the magical crimper is there's this spherical concavity inside it. And you need to center the crimp tube inside that concavity. It's really important that it's centered. It's also really important, I didn't point it out, that you use a good quality crimp tube, one that has no seam and has a thick wall. I use Softflex, and so does Beki. All right, so you're gonna center it, and when it's centered, you're gonna give it this little squish. And what it does is it presses down the four corners of that crimp tube to turn it into a little ravioli. And then you're just gonna rotate that 90 degrees from where you just were, so it's straight up and down inside that crimp tube. I'm trying to hold here, I'll hold it upside down. So it's straight up and down inside the crimp tube, and then give it another little squish. After that, you just keep turning it, opening your pliers a little bit, turn it, rotate it around, give it little squishes until you don't feel any resistance anymore. And when it's all done, it didn't quite look right, so I did just a tiny bit more. When it's all done, you end up with this little ball of crimp that just looks like a silver bead. Okay? And hello. Did you need to get back through? Okay. Sorry, she came under my desk. I'm a real person and I have a real dog, and sometimes she won't settle. All right, I'm just snipping off that little bit of excess wire. And then I'm scooting my beads down to that crimp. So this is what that's gonna look like attached to the chain. And then I'm doing the same thing with the SilverSilk. I'm just scooting that whole section of SilverSilk so that it is flush against that strung section that I did, okay? So then I need to take my necklace and make sure I have enough wire to complete this stringing pattern and crimp. So I'm just gonna cut it right here so that I can complete the stringing pattern on the other side. And now that I've designed what that side looks like, it's gonna be much easier for me to match it. So the first thing I wanna do is put that little end cap on, and it has a little SilverSilk logo on it. You can try to make them stay. You can put in a little bit of glue if you wanna make it, you know, face forward with that in the right place. I'm not gluing it right now. I might choose to add some glue later, but since it's a cap and not a crimp or a clamp, it's gonna rotate around, or it can rotate around. So I'm just gonna repeat what I did over here with those same orange, 3 green, orange, red skull, chin down. Important that you have, I mean, if you want to have your skulls all topsy-turvy, you can do your skulls all topsy-turvy. And you can do this design with any beads you have. If you got the John Bead box and you want to make a little bit of a fun, spooky thing, and you've got a little bit of stringing wire, you can recreate this pattern, or with a bit of leather. If you don't have SilverSilk, you can find something else that is like a thick diameter and put this on and just attach it the way you normally would that material. So you can use this design with other materials if you don't have SilverSilk. But this just really felt like a fun, festive, like you could wear this to a fun Halloween party and enjoy it, or like a Halloween potluck at work, or whatever stuff you might have going on. Okay, and then our other purple fire polish. I really do like the addition of those purple fire polish in that strung section. Let me get this kind of centered here a little bit for you. So these guys, like I said, they're gonna free flow. But before I crimp it, I'm just checking to make sure I didn't miss anything, that there's nothing I need to fix, because right now I can fix everything. But it looks like it's right. And it looks fun. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. So I do need to decide how much chain that I want. I'm gonna hold this up to me and kind of figure out where I want the strung sections to end, and then measure enough chain to get to that section on the other side. Oop, that's coming loose. Okay, that's a little bit tricky. So chain to chain, I think right there. Let's see how much chain that is. So I said we have 14 already, right? So if we have 14 already and I just decided that that's how much chain I want, then we're making about a 24-inch necklace. So I'm going to cut 10 inches of chain, actually 9, because we're going to need a little bit of room for clasping, and then I'll end up being a 24-inch necklace. So I'm going to take this tape measure, measure out 9 inches of this curb chain. This is the length that I want to stick, and I am going to be using my memory wire cutters because this is stainless steel curb chain and I don't want to dull my flush cutters. That is something that I did early on. I didn't have memory wire cutters, and so that's a mistake that I had made early on, and got some good advice both from Becky as well as some other viewers that saw what I was doing. It's like, no, don't do that. So that's what I've been doing. All right. Okay, so this, I just need to make sure that this is snug and that it shows a whole lot of my SilverSilk here, but like I said, that's because these beads in the middle free flow. I'm just making sure that my end caps are snug, that my beads are snug. I do want a little bit of movement, so I do have a little bit of a curve going on with my necklace, but I don't need that much movement, and I'd rather this be nice and snug. So I am going to go ahead and put the other end of this chain here. We'll cut it in half after. Let me get this crimped. And what I'm doing is I'm holding the crimp tube close to this fire polish bead, but then I'm inserting my thumb between it and the fire polish bead, so that when I pull this down and I snug it into place, and I do want about the same amount of wire showing on both sides, just so it looks nice. I'm not that concerned about the length, but I need to make sure that I have enough clearance to be able to crimp successfully near this larger bead. Sometimes you need that clearance because you're next to a smaller bead and you don't want to crunch it. In this case, I'm doing it because I want to make sure I get a good crimp. So something I'm going to do two things differently. The first thing I'm doing differently is I'm not going to, the thing I just showed you about making sure that it's nice and snug, but then I'm not actually going to take it out and show you the ravioli, because I know, because I felt it, that it's there. So I just turned it and rotated it that 90 degrees, and then I continued to gently open and close my jump rings, open and close my pliers so that it would smooth out that crimp. And the reason I do that is because if you are not centered, if you don't have it centered at any point in the crimping process, you can mangle your crimp. So it's not just at the beginning that it is important to be centered. It's also important that it be centered when you are not quite big enough to go over the head. So I do have to do a clasp. I was checking. It doesn't go over comfortably, not when I have a ponytail on. I probably could make it go over if I had my hair down, but no one wants one that's going to be that fussy. All right. But I found that it's much easier to stay centered if I never take it out of the tool. And so that's what I'm doing. So we've got this necklace, the strung portion. The last step that we need to do here is to find the center of this chain, give it a little snip, and put your glasses back on because I took them off to try it on over my head. I don't actually need glasses to see close, but I have started trying to use an appropriate prescription, which does include bifocal. And so that means that I do need to keep it on so that my eyes stay adjusted. All right, and then I'm gonna get some stainless steel jump rings and a lobster claw. One of those guys, and just a couple of, I just need a small one to attach that guy, and then I need one that he can fit through on the other side, but it doesn't need to be huge. I'm thinking this to attach to the other end of the chain. Yeah, that should be plenty big to get to be a good target for that lobster claw. Okay. Moving my jump rings out of the way. And then I'm using my Casual Comfort pliers to open and close these jump rings, and I'm using the Magical Crimper because it is like nice and flat on this end, so it's a good second plier when all you're doing is, you know, opening and closing jump rings. Now, my necklace doesn't have a front or back, so I can attach the ring and the lobster claw to either side. It does not matter. So I'm just getting this open. This is the one that's going to be the ring. It's going to be on the end of this chain. So I'm just sliding that chain onto the jump ring and then swinging that jump ring closed again. Something else I messed up when I first, way first started doing this was I didn't know how to open a jump ring. And so like the instructions that I was reading, there was no YouTube then, said to open the jump ring. So I just opened it and I completely deformed the loop. That's, by the way, not how you do it. So you have your jump ring, and you, instead of pulling it open like this, you take a second set of plier and just swing it gently towards you, just straight towards you. So we actually still have that circle, it's just open. And I'm putting on my chain and my lobster claw, and then swinging that back closed, the exact opposite of what we just did. So now we've got a closed jump ring. And we have a finished necklace. So I hope you enjoyed. This is a pretty quick tutorial of how to make a very fun and vibrant Halloween necklace using these great wide hole beads from John Bead. And I used SilverSilk for that section. As I said, you can use other materials if that's what you have available or you're more comfortable, or you can check out SilverSilk and see if that's a design that you want to play around with and try. Now, one thing, an update on John Bead. I'm really excited. I love the box. I'm absolutely going to keep making from it, but you can no longer sign up for subscriptions. Within about 48 hours of my video where I opened up my box, and I think a lot of you guys got excited, they did sell out of subscriptions. And because these boxes are full of vintage beads, that's the whole purpose of them, that's what they're focused around, they are, as a consequence, limited availability. So the link that is going to be in the description to John Bead's, to the Curiosity box, is the same link that you'll go to check to see if subscriptions are open. But also when there is a new themed box, that is where, if they have extras of those boxes, you can also pre-order one of those boxes. Marie Antoinette is sold out. The subscriptions are sold out. So the next time that there's going to be something new there, unless they happen to add stock from somewhere, I don't know, but I wouldn't count on it, then it will be the 28th. The 28th is when they ship out the new box, and when they bill your credit card if you have a subscription, and when they release the theme of the next upcoming box, the contents of which are a surprise. So yeah, that's the whole John Bead spiel. But there's going to be links to that box where you can watch that space, as well as links to SilverSilk, the pipe chain section. If you just go to like the chains, like SilverSilk chains, there's a whole lot of different choices. This one is the pipe chain. There's leather chain, or knitted leather, and then knitted leather chain. There's capture chain, which is like a ball chain that is knitted around and is really cool. I can't use it because not all of the ball chain that is used is nickel free, and so I just can't really use that because I have my metal allergy. But it is a really cool product. There's 3 needle chain, flat mesh, hollow mesh. There's descriptions of what all of those are. If this all sounds foreign to you, there's descriptions of what all of those are and how they can be used on the website. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm turning my little faces, my ghoulish faces, so they can see us. If you liked what you saw, hit like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. And I hope that you enjoyed this little bit of vibrant Halloween fun. As always, happy beading, and don't forget to play. Bye, friends.